Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Women Who Rock with Success, a digital media source for professional and entrepreneurial women. Did you know that we can be found on Google Play, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Sam's Broadcasting, AutoCast, and more? Women Who Rock with Success airs live each Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central Time, followed by our latest brand, Women Who Rock Investigates. We handpick professional women in many areas who can provide credible information in their field to build your business and lifestyle. To learn more about us, just visit our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com.
And good morning, and welcome to Women Who Rock with Success. This is your show host, Ms. Diane Winbush, and thank you so much for tuning in with us on today. And so we have a guest in our studio, and she is none other than Miss Ange. She's Angela Durant, and good morning and welcome to the broadcast today.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Great, and thank you. And this topic here is so important because a lot of times I tell a lot of women and clients as well. I'm not a brand strategist, but clients in another field that is important as to, sometimes we will reach out into something or launch out into something. That's the better word. And then once we launch out into it, we don't have no type of structure. And so that's the purpose of, being branded and what it is that we have. So we're going to get started and let you be able to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about you and a little bit about you before you start branding and a little bit up to how you become into the field that you work in now.
Fantastic. Yes, thank you so much for having me. And you're absolutely right. Starting with building a brand is essential in having a solid foundation for your business. My name is Angela Durant. Yes, and my friends call me Ange. And try to make it easy for everybody. So yes, Ange is, how I'm known, and I'm the founder of the Be Brilliant movement. And the Be Brilliant movement is actually the only empowerment company in the world that uses brand strategy to help high-achieving women build their brands with our unique methodology, which is building their brands from the inside out, so that they can show up powerfully both in business and in life. So that's what we do.
Okay, great. And so what was your passion? What was something that drove you to this?
I would say that that one of the things that drove me to this was actually getting fired, getting let go from a job that I had worked at for almost 15 years. That actually created the entrepreneurial spirit that I have today. It was an eye-opener for me because I viewed that company as a family. Like, I thought that I would be with them for a long time. And when I was put in that particular situation, it was an eye-opener for me, and I realized that your brilliance isn't attached to a job, and that wherever you go, wherever you decide your next chapter is going to be, that you take your brilliance with you. And I never wanted to be in a position where I felt like a company held that much control over my future or my fate. So that's what inspired me to become an entrepreneur.
Great. Because, with that, we see a lot of women, they're having to be downsized from one, we've interviewed individuals that have been on, Nightline News, and they had to start their brand from, being a life coach or what have you and things, and it still makes 6 and 7, figure digits annually. So, I mean, I think that as long as a woman knows where she is and where she can come up from that, I think that she is still excelling in what it is that she, I guess, likes to do. So that's great. That's great. And so let's walk through a little path here, because some of our audience, they ask questions, and so what we do is we provide the resources for them. And in regards to, if an individual comes to you and say, okay, we want to be able to partner, we want to be able to network with what it is that you have and what have you. So take us through a couple of steps of some of the things that they would look for in your products and services as a brand strategist.
Sure. So as a brand strategist, and let me just back up for a second and just
Go
say
ahead.
what inspired me to actually become a brand strategist was, and start this movement of the Be Brilliant movement, was that I was working in another job, and I noticed I had this epiphany, right, that all these people who worked on my team had these hidden talents, right? So they, my director of sales, she, I just kind of learned through the grapevine that she had authored a children's book, and she was very competent at being a director of sales, but she was amazing and very passionate about writing. And another member of my team was my assistant. She was my assistant general manager, and she loved to do all of our events, right? And you could give her like something really tiny, like a book as inspiration, and she would create these amazing, like she would just transform a room and pick up the theme and just make it beautiful. And so the epiphany that I had was that we all have something. Like we all, God has given us all special gifts and talents, and sometimes they're hidden, right? And sometimes we are positioned in jobs where we're competent, but if we would step into what our brilliance really is, it could be amazing for us, and for the people we're here to serve. So I would say that, so that's kind of how we started. What were you going to say?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You finish.
And so there is a scripture that speaks to and tells us that light should never be hidden, that nobody lights a candle and hides it under a basket or a bushel, right? But they place it on a stand so that it gives light to everybody in the house. And so that was the beginnings of the Be Brilliant movement, where I help these high-achieving women really shine their light brightly, and so that it serves everybody. And so the advice that I would give, where I would start with, is someone who comes to me to ask me about branding and who they should align with, is really getting the clarity that they need around who they are and what they have to offer and who they're here to serve, and making sure that whoever they align their brands with is in alignment with that. Does that make sense? That that they want to make sure that it is that it's kind of quote unquote on brand for them, right? So that it doesn't tarnish their reputation in any way.
I agree, because a lot of times, as I stated before, some people, procrastination is a very, very huge error for women, and sometimes women feel that they cannot be able to complete, they cannot be able to set goals for themselves, and that's a main thing that I would say when it comes to branding, that you have to set goals. We all have to set goals for our business, for whatever it is that we have, and so a lot of them, we've had some individuals to come to us, and they had a perfect, start out, and so, the women, some of them, they was like, oh, we can't do this. They couldn't even do a radio broadcast. They were just that level to the ground and what have you, and had a wonderful idea. The product was good, and then plus they had mentors to back them. But sometimes it can be personal issues as well, which I don't want to kind of derive off of the subject, but sometimes personal issues can be there too, that perhaps maybe cause women to be able to not pursue what it is that they are designed and created to do. And so Be Brilliant, that is actually the takeaways of your brand is to help women to be able to be structured in the area. And I agree with you on that, because sometimes we don't even we sometimes we'll go out there and we'll look for a marketing strategist, but we're supposed to have a brand strategist. So we're going to back up a little bit and things with that. And we want you to be able to describe to the women in your terms the different, well, you don't have to even touch on the marketing strategist, but the reason why it's a brand. What is a brand strategist, and how can women know the difference of what area they're supposed to be walking in? So just like I stated before, sometimes we I need a marketing strategist. That's for Facebook. That's for social media platforms. That's for campaigns. That's for ads. But when you're branding, it's different. So share a little bit about, we're going to back up a little bit and share a little bit about, to the audience, a little bit about that.
Sure. So the one fundamental thing that I'll share is that branding, when it's done really well, it can be very powerful. And what it does really well is it differentiates you in a very crowded marketplace. It helps build loyalty. It helps build your credibility, helps build trust, and it also helps your bottom line, right? It helps position you to be able to generate more income for yourself and your family, or revenue for your company. So that's the power of branding. There's a famous quote that says that products are built in a factory, but a brand is built in the mind. And one of the things that I teach, my clients, is that branding is both an art, this art of design and design thinking, as well as a science. It's a science of human behavior. So what are people saying about you when you're not in the room? What is the reputation that you've built? Are they thinking of you for the next promotion? Are they thinking about you to hire you, so that they can become your client? And that's fundamental. And when you were talking about, procrastination and setting goals, you're right on point. Because if once you work with a brand strategist like myself, and you are very or you have the clarity that you need, you're crystal clear, then you can stand powerfully and walk into any room knowing who you are and knowing what you have to offer, knowing what your value is. And you won't tie your value to things that are not lasting, are not, always going to be there, that's solid, right? You really tie, it's really about you being authentically who you are, being able to show up based on what you believe, what your values are, and what you pick a stand for. And that's really powerful. And so procrastination is kind of a form of what we like to call on our campus shrinking. It's like when you shrink and you hide and you put off things. But when you know who you are and who you are, you don't do that. You walk into a room with confidence. You show up for those shows, right? You're there. You're present, and you're excited to serve. And so, and then you could set your goals and know that they're attainable. So yeah, that's what we do, and that's really what the power of branding is. In our unique methodology is building brands from the inside out. Many times people want to start with color. Like they'll come to me and say, Ange, I'm starting a company. Like, what color should I use? And, what kind of logo should I have? And I always say to them that that's never where you want to start. Because if you start there, you could potentially lose a lot of time and waste a lot of money. You need to start with what we call your brand DNA. We need to start from the inside out, because everything about you dictates how you should show up in the world.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, I guess I can put it this way, a lot of times women, especially women, we wear a lot of hats on the top, meaning we have a lot of daily roles that we try to accomplish, and even on a weekly basis. And so a lot of times when we see XYZ, we have several doors. We'll see door number 1, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right here. But if we see something in door number 2, then we'll jump to that. And then now we have door number 1 and door number 2. And then we see something on door number 3, and then we'll get involved with door number 3. We don't supposed to be over there. We're supposed to be on door number 1. So how important in your terms, how important is it as a brand strategist, as yourself? I'm not a brand strategist, but as you as a brand strategist, how is it important for women in business to be able to not be all over the place, to be able to be self-assured that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And even if door number 2, 3, and 4 looks better for me, I need to work and accomplish the goals for door number 1 first, and then perhaps maybe later on I can grow to A, B, C, D, and F. But that, I feel that a lot of times women can become frustrated because they're all over the place. They want to be everything to everybody. And so how important in your terms as a brand strategist as to how you keep women with the Be Brilliance, how do you keep women to maintain focus on what it is that they were meant to do?
That's an excellent question, because I think everybody is challenged with that, right? They call it shiny object syndrome, right? Where like everything looks good, or or they say, I want to serve everybody. I want to bring my products or services to everybody, and I will tell you that you are not meant to serve everybody. Not everybody will appreciate your talents and gifts. Not everybody is on the planet for you to serve them. And so it's important that you show up really powerfully, and just think about it from the perspective of diluting yourself, right? So if you spread yourself so thin, like how impactful can you really be? But if you're laser focused, if you're laser focused, and you can eventually go broader, like you were saying, you could eventually do that. But in the beginning, let's get crystal clear about what you do really, really well. And I know that a lot of professional women who work in corporate America, many of them have degrees, they're super smart. They've never, maybe run a business on their own before. So when they show up, they're not sure what they can do. They're not sure, they have so many gifts and talents. So it's like taking, an assessment of where they are, figuring out what they do really, really well, where their brilliance resides, and then who it is that will have the most benefit. Who is it that they can make the greatest impact on? And let's start there. And let's go really deep there first. And then you can add on other things. Then you could do other things, because we don't want to dilute your brand. We want your brand to be very potent so that you can, have the maximum impact that you're here to really have. So that's what I would say. And it is easy. Our attention span is very short. Like, there are so many things, so many offers. There's so much out there that we can do, but there's not a lot that we should be doing. And as women, we need to be balanced too. Many of us are wives where, we have children. Many of us have, full-time jobs with lots of responsibility. So it's really important to be crystal clear and laser focused. That's where you're going to get the greatest return on your investment.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree, because a lot of times, even with social media, individuals run campaigns and they're trying their best to try to get in front of the perfect audience that they need. But if you are you have different doors and you're trying to meet different needs and different goals and accomplishments in one brand that you're trying to, kind of whale down to the board. That can be also complicated as well. So what are some of the last tips that you would like to leave, or some of the takeaways from Be Brilliance that you would like to leave with the audience on today?
I so want, your listeners to know that they have something really, really special, that, sometimes people don't see what they have, because it's like breathing to them. Like, it comes so easily to them, but there's a whole bunch of people out there who need them, who wish that they could do the things that they could do. And so the first thing is just really understanding that you have so much value, and that's important. Knowing what you bring, knowing what you have to offer. The second part of that I want them to know is that there are people out here who really need your gifts. They really need it, and they will be willing to pay a premium for you to help them. And so I want the women to know that they have many options. Some of them, have opportunities within corporate America. Others have opportunities outside of corporate America. I don't want them to think that the current state of COVID is going to be a hindrance to what they can do. Yes, it presents new challenges, but it won't stop them. And many of my colleagues are they're generating more revenue for their businesses now during the pandemic than they ever did before. So there's a lot of opportunity out there for them. So I just want them to know that they have choices and that, that they're brilliant. I want them to know that, because I think once you know that, once you really understand that, you really get that, it really opens up a world of opportunity for you.
Absolutely, and I do also believe that our environment also plays a big part as well as to how we think about ourselves. If you're you can be around corporate America women and still be around some women in corporate America that can have a negative tone to business, because sometimes a lot of individuals, they don't like their jobs. So if they don't like their jobs from 9 to 5, they're going to make sure that you don't like what it is that you do. So I think that is very, very critical and important as well. So with the last thing for the show on today, we always allow our audience to be able to follow all of our guests after the program and after the show, so they can get a little bit more understanding, a little bit more in depth about the business, a little bit more revelation as to what it is that they do and what they love doing, and they can perhaps maybe, because we don't try to sell anything on our broadcast for free, only if the guests are giving it away. So, because, a lot of times individuals, they be looking for things always free. You have to go to SCORE if you want something for free. SCORE is a mentor that kind of helps women to be able to build their business for free. That's where you have to go to. But on this platform, you have to pay, because most of the guests are making a living off of their branding and off of their business. So with that being said, for any upcoming publications that you have or that you have already published, like books or what have you, social media platforms, any upcoming lectures that you may be sponsoring on Zoom, or any types of seminars that you're having, you can be able to share that at this time with the listeners.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, the first thing I want to do is offer your audience a gift. It's a free masterclass for branding, and it was designed to give you a competitive advantage. And so I will share the link with you, so you'll have that. You can share it with your listeners, but it's a complimentary masterclass. And then the other way that they can reach me is on my website. They can go to BeBrilliantMovement.com. That's BeBrilliantMovement.com. Or they can find me on Facebook in our private group, and I would love to invite your listeners into our private group on Facebook. It's called Embrace Your Brilliance, Discover Your Freedom. Embrace your brilliance, discover your freedom. And that's where they'll find like-minded, entrepreneurial women who are, I always say that they're brilliant ladies who come there. So they're welcome to join us there.
Absolutely. That is so wonderful. We have had a great time with you today for this small amount. We'll have to do this again for this small amount of time.
Thank you.
And
I
so
really
today,
enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So, listeners, you all have gotten the full cup of what you need from a brand strategist. She has her own business. She knows what to do. She can be able to catapult you to the next level, to the next design and craft inside of your business. So let's get to it. So for all upcoming events, you can go to our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com. Thank you so much for being our guest today, Ange.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Everyone have a great day.